All right, so whenever you get your clay, a lot of times it will come in a chunk right off of here, and so you won't need to do this, but sometimes it's just good. You want to make sure you get all the air bubbles out, so you want to slam it on the table, which is why I'm on my knees, because I'm not very tall, and so I need a little more leverage for clay. These tables are great, but when it comes to clay, they're a little bit harder. All right, for short people. Okay, so what you guys are going to be using is called slab building. And so you guys are going to need to get 2 of these, and I'll have all this stuff laid out for you at the front of the room. You're going to grab 2 of the boards, and you're going to grab a roller. Okay, and you're going to roll just like you would when you're doing like sugar cookies or anything like that. So you're just going to roll back and forth until you get it all about the same thickness. And this is helping get rid of air bubbles too. And do you guys know why I have these?
But these, like that.
Yeah, so that your clay will all be the same thickness, which is about 1/4 inch thick. It's a good thickness. You don't want it to be too thick. It's too hard to work with, and you don't want it to be too thin, or it just gets wobbly and flimsy. Okay? So once you have that rolled out, now you can start cutting into it in any way you want. So if you have a specific shape that you need, you can use one of these tools. We have all different kinds of tools. I would recommend using this one with the sharp blade at the end to do your cutting. And so if I were going to do, let's say I needed some seaweed and some rocks, I'm going to go ahead and cut out a seaweed structure first. And I'm going to give it a little bit of extra length at the bottom. Okay, kind of an organic shape. It doesn't really need a lot to it. And I'm going to pull out all the pieces that I don't need, just like you would if you were baking cookies. How many of you guys have done sugar cookies?
No.
Good. All right, so what I'm actually going to do with the rest of this is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to roll it, because I'm going to use this for the other side of my turtles as like rocks, okay? And as I'm rolling, I'm going to teach you guys a technique. You have to use the slip, which is basically watered down clay, okay? So you want to make sure that you're scratching with any kind of pointed sharp tool. Wherever you want things to stick together, you're going to scratch it. And then you're going to use some of this wet clay, and you're just going to put that right on top of wherever you've scratched, okay? And I would, if you can, scratch both surfaces. So you're going to scratch both sides. You're going to put your slip down, which is just really wet clay. It's like glue. And then you're going to put your pieces together, okay? And they're going to dry, and as they dry, that wetness is going to suck all the air out, and it's going to pull the clay together so that it stays, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and roll that, because I'm going to use this for one side, and then I'm going to use this for the other side.
Are we going to be painting our, like,
Yes, you guys will be glazing these. So what we have to do is, once you guys get your structures figured out, we have to let them dry completely, and then we have to fire them in the kiln. That's called a bisque firing. And then after we have fired them in the kiln, we're going to paint them with the glaze, and then we will do a glaze firing, okay? So let's say this was going to be my seaweed. Now, the hard part about this is if I stand it straight up like I want it to be, it's not going to dry, or it's not going to stay standing that way, because it's a little bit too flimsy. Actually, it did okay this time. This is a little bit drier than the clay that you guys will get, and I have it curved a little bit, so that might help it. However, if it's not going to stay, I can go ahead and lay it on its side to dry, as long as it's drying the way I want it to. And we can use toothpicks to shape and mold things too, and those will just burn out in the kiln. But I'm gonna lay it on its side, leave it how I want it to, and then let it dry like that. Then after it's dried, it should stand. like that, okay? And then I'm gonna use that for one side, I'm gonna use this for the other side, and I'm gonna build my turtles, and I'm gonna put them in between so it looks like they're off the floor of the water, okay? So let me show you one more. You can go ahead and stop that.